Hi there, Carol Zayukas with Kimonomomo, and I'm going to do a short series on textile dyeing and traditional Japanese dyeing techniques. It's a little early in the season to start with yukata, but it's January here in California. We have some sunshine today, so I figured what the heck. We're going to talk a little bit about Chugata, which is a stencil technique. It's medium-sized stencil. These are used on yukata. It's a very traditional technique where the dyer would actually lay out a 11-meter bolt of cotton fabric across a table. Yes, an 11-meter long table that runs the length of a building, and use a stencil that's maybe this big. Probably, I will show you stencils in a future video. And essentially silk screen, what we think of as silk screening, maybe that stencil along all 11 meters of that bolt again and again and again, squeezing through a thin layer of rice paste as a resist prior to folding this up and dropping it in an indigo vat to dye it. Well, the fabrics that you see behind me are different. Of course, they're very modern. The ones over here are bark cloth. They're 44-inch wide bolts, typical quilt fabrics. But they have a very similar style to those older stencil dyed yukata. It's a wave pattern, light on dark, dark on light, and there's a reason for the light on dark and dark on light thing. Blue yukata with white design is great for the daytime in a hot, humid summer because it appeals to the sense of freshness. It's very refreshing. It's very like water on a hot day. Whereas at night, when people go out in the summertime, they would wear a white yukata with a dark blue design because that stands out more brightly in a pre-industrial lighting world. So these give some variety to the same design, just a different perspective, which I really like. The three bolts that are behind me are a little different. We have this very traditional small iris pattern repeating. This one in the middle is kind of clever. I haven't been able to really translate it very well because my Japanese is still not that great, but I think it's a sumo wrestler's name. And you've noticed here at the bottom, it's upside down. Here it's right side up, and further up, it's flipped backwards. Now the reason for that is the yukata is an unlined garment. And if you're using one piece of fabric and you're using it everywhere for every piece of the garment, there are times when things are going to be upside down, things are going to be flipped around. So you'll see that a lot. Any garment, any yukata fabric that has a kanji graphic on it, any wording of any kind on it, will have it flipped multiple ways. So if you're worried, if you're taking a small piece and you're incorporating it into a quilt or something else, and you're worried that maybe it's backwards or forwards, if it bothers you that much, see if you can find it and figure it out. Otherwise, don't worry about it. People are not going to be terribly offended if it's the wrong way. This one on the other side, bright, bright colors, really intense. All of these three fabrics on these small bolts here are reversible. Now, instead of the Chugata way of dyeing where it's that stencil dye across the tabletop, both sides flipped over, these are put on an industrial machine. So they're flipped every meter, which is roughly 40 inches in length. And this is why I sell these pieces by the meters. You get a design repeat of every meter. And a machine pulls the dye through all the layers. So everything is front and back. These are totally reversible. Beautiful, intense color and design on both sides. Now, here's one that's not reversible. It's a very, very dark navy blue. Looks like black on white. And then back of the bolt, yeah, it doesn't go all the way through. This would be nice to wear, but probably a little more inexpensive than the ones that are dyed all the way through. I've had this for so long I don't even remember where I got it anymore. Fabrics that I like are the reversible ones. Even with a small repeating pattern, this is great if you're working with miniatures, and it is reversible. And sometimes you can find little marks that tell you a little bit about how it was crafted. This one has some dye bleed on the edge, which I find very charming. That's just a little brief introduction to some of the yukata fabrics, a little bit about stencil dyeing. I will go into more detail. Just wanted to sort of catch you up to speed a little bit at a time in 5-minute bursts if I can do that. And talk to you again in my next video. We'll go into a little more about stencil dyeing, and then I will also cover kimono silk in a future episode. Thanks for watching.